Twins, they waste a great pitching effort today. They lose game 3 in Houston. They get swept by the Astros in extras. 2-1 your final. Full deep dive coming up next. Minnesota Twins postcast.
This is the Twins postcast. Your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Main man riding shotgun. Theo Tollefson. Give him a follow on X if you haven't already. At Theodore Tollef, one Twins expert over at Zone Coverage. And man, you know, normally I start with something game related. This one stings, man. So I did this with CJ last game. Let's go light and easy. Let's lighten the mood here. Before we get into the ugliness of this 3-game sweep, you lose in extras today. Top 3 favorite baseball movies. What are there? You're stranded on an island, right? 3 baseball movies you got to watch over and over.
Well, I feel like The Sandlot's a given. That is just, you know, one of the perfect films. Nothing better to really describe growing up in America, and especially suburbia.
Yeah, CJ and I both have that one at number 1.
Yeah. Let's see. What else would I probably throw in? Maybe Moneyball. Yeah.
Yep. CJ went with Moneyball. I kind of forgot about Moneyball, which sounds stupid, but I ended up putting it in my 3 because you got to.
Yeah.
And I had Field of Dreams in my top 2. I grew up with that one, so I had Field of Dreams.
I wouldn't have that one in there. I'm trying to think. I might do what is probably, if I need a good laugh for how stupid the movie is, I might do The Fan, which is a Robert De Niro movie where he's obsessed with this baseball player and kind of goes on a crazy speed. Well, let's just say there are people within the Twins fandom this movie could really attribute themselves to being Robert De Niro's character. Won't name any names, but people will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Wesley Snipes plays like a Barry Bonds fill-in. And
classic Wesley era, by the way. Classic Wesley Snipes, when just at his peak, by the way.
And you also got a cinematic appearance of John Kruk. It's so funny what happens to him by the end of that movie. You just laugh at how stupid it is. So yeah, I think I would go insane watching that over and over again, but I think I also entertain myself to realize my situation is not as bad as the one they create in this movie.
That's good. I like it. Lots to get into, where it went wrong today and extras, plus a little quick update on Royce Lewis's injury. But first, quick reminder, this episode brought to us by Game Time. Game Time, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Quick little recap if you didn't see it. Twins Astros game 3, trying to avoid the sweep. Pitchers duel for most of this one. You had a Brooks Lee solo shot in the 3rd, his 2nd in as many games. That made it 1-0. Bottom 9, Twins with a chance to win it. In comes Duran, and again, just struggling right now. Struggles to close this thing out. Puts runners on the corners with 1 out. Sack fly, scores Carlos Pena. That ties it back up. We go to extras, bottom 11. Astros hit a double to win it. That's a walk-off. 2-1, that's your final. Twins had their chances, especially in extras. 36-35 now on the year, just creeping back to 500. Your biggest takeaways, what were your A topics, I guess? You know, what stuck out the most today?
Simeon Woods-Richardson looked really great compared to his last start, and I get why they pulled him after 5. They'd rather have him go out too early than too late, and I think that's really big confidence builder just to have an outing like that, especially in his hometown. Well, close to his hometown, growing up in the suburbs of Houston, but that was huge for him. Brooks Lee looks hot at the plate. He looks like everything's finally coming together. I think, you know, with him being a coach's son, everyone had such high expectations of him, and he has these high expectations of himself too, and we're finally seeing how all that is flourishing as well. But then you look at the other side of the offense, and, you know, this still can count Lee in there too, despite, you know, having a few hits here today. No one else was showing up at the plate, and that's what cost you this game. And you cannot keep having these same mistakes over and over again where you only have one guy really contributing and the rest of the lineup is MIA.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Biggest turning point, Theo kind of touched on it already, but you know, where did it really kind of just the knife get twisted? Where did it really go wrong for the Twins in this one?
That infield hit by Altuve, bottom 9. That was a hard play for. Correa did his best, and you know, I know some people will say, well, if we had a taller first baseman, that would have been an out. And it's like, no, Altuve was flying. There was really no chance. I mean, Correa didn't threw it out of his hands. He didn't set up best. He just wanted to get, and Altuve maybe 35 now, but he can still fly down the base pass, no problem. So yeah, it was a tough play. They did their best, but that really is where it fell into the Astros' hands to really get this one back.
Royce Lewis update, 10-day IL. What's
Mm-hmm.
what's the latest? I guess what's the ripple effect? What can you tell us about that injury? Any new updates whatsoever?
Not really from what's out there. I mean, Deshaun Kersey Jr. is back up for the time being to kind of fill that roster spot. So that's going to at least give the Twins their best trio of outfielders. I know Buxton was supposed to start this game, but was scratched. And I think that was more them taking advantage of having an off day tomorrow and giving him 2 full days of rest to be closer to 100% for Tuesday rather than risking, him feeling sore if he plays again today. And then it could be something much more severe and longer. So for now, I think we're looking at, potentially Royce out up until the All-Star break, which is not great because this is the same thing that happened last year, but a couple weeks going into the All-Star break. So it just never seems to end for him, and it got to be as frustrating for him as it is for the rest of us seeing it happen to him. He looked like he was finally really climbing out of that hole he dug himself into for the first month of the season, of his season. And now we're back to square one.
Yeah, such a bummer for sure. Plenty more deep dive. Brooks Lees, he's hot. 15-game hit streak, another home run today. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return, $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Why I love FanDuel? When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play, all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you hit your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Get some MLB future action while you're there. Twins sitting at plus 500 to win the AL Central. That's all up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. So, I got to make this show link like 10 minutes before we're supposed to go live. We're supposed to go live. Boom. It's a postcast. Instant reaction. We're supposed to go live within, 2-3 minutes. So obviously they're up 1-0. I didn't feel great about it. I mean, we're talking about the Minnesota Twins. We're talking about Duran coming in. But, you can see up in the title, up in the StreamYard right now, Twins avoid the sweep versus the Astros with a pitching clinic 1-0. Well, obviously that did not come to fruition. No. So I had to go in, I had to change the YouTube stuff, I had to change the thumbnail, I had to change all that. Well, I had the MVP graphic up and ready, locked and loaded, because we do the MVP graphic. We hand out our MVP award, I should say, after a win. So I'm not going to do the graphic. I'm not going to twist the salt or dig the salt into the wound anymore. But who would have been the MVP? Because I feel like it's a kind of tight race, whether it was SWR, just, again, a one-hitter through 5 innings, or Brooks Lee, who's red hot.
I probably would have given it to Lee because he was the only one who swung the bat in the offense today. And, I mean, that remained true.
Yeah.
No matter how the game outcome was. So, yeah, it's great to see him come together. But, again, as we just look at so many of these last few games and to get lose 2 out of 3 to the Rangers at home, 2 big blowouts, and then to get swept by the Astros, who you had one of your closest games with all season that really should have landed your way. I mean, things are not trending in the right direction for pretty much every team in the American League Central. That's not the Detroit Tigers, but even they dropped 2 of 3 to the Reds here this past weekend. So it's not a great time. I think it's easier to digest this stuff in June than it is in August, but it doesn't make it any easier. Just to see what's happening, and you can you have more time to address the flaws and try to upgrade the team and upgrade where you have positions, but it's just so hard to really know where this team's going to be a month from now going into the All-Star break and where they're going to sit within these standings, because I mean they're still staying kind of in that wild card race, but right now who cares about that when you are now 2-8 in your last 10 games? I want to say. Yeah,
not No, not great, Bob. What about Brooks Lee though? Right now, what about his game specifically at the plate? 15-game hit streak, gotta love that.
Yep.
Obviously having a great impact out there when he is at the plate. But what are you seeing as far as like the biggest improvement in his game at the plate from last year to now?
I mean, confidence is an easy answer, but I think that's also just, what it is, he's gotten more at bats, he's got more experience against more reps, and, it's really paying off, and he knows what his strengths are to do that. We're seeing more pop. I mean, I don't expect him to hit more than like 15, 16 home runs this season, but that's just the kind of player he is. But if you can get those numbers from him and you can see that batting average climb above 270, you're in a really good spot with him, really filling in this role. And hopefully, he can still find a lot of regular playing time whenever Luke Keeschel gets back, and who knows how he will be, post All-Star break, because it looks like with how injuries are right now, you will have Sebby Matthews, Royce Lewis, and Luke Keeschel all back as you come out of the All-Star break, and thankfully they will be going to Denver and play the godless Colorado Rockies, who are going to make the 2024 White Sox look like a really good team in comparison. But, you're hoping you get one of those three guys back in the lineup for that Colorado series, and you can really just take a clean sweep there, because if you can't sweep that team, even though it's a month from now, then you can start having the doom.
Trouble in paradise for sure. Nerdy stat of the daytime. Any crazy stat, fun analytic, Twins related from what today, this series, whatever it may be.
I think we need to give Woods-Richardson his flowers for getting 5 scoreless innings, because he has not had a scoreless outing at all this season. The last time that happened was July 23rd last year when the Phillies were in town and he got 6 scoreless innings, but the offense didn't show up for him that day either, as they lost 3-0 against the Phillies that day. So, that's the thing. It's a trade-off. You see a really good start from him. Offense isn't showing up, so they got to find things to really click together here. And I think it's just good to see that turnaround, especially from such a bad outing from the entire pitching staff that day on Tuesday last week. So now they have an off day to think about all this in Cincinnati, address their issues. Fortunately, the Reds pitching, I'd say, is weaker than the Twins has been this season, especially with Hunter Green dealing with some injury problems. So they have the advantage to do some damage here. But, I mean, this Reds offense is heated up at the right time. Well, the wrong time for them as in the Twins, but the right time for them as the Reds. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, put a pin in that. Let's keep talking about that. Don't go anywhere. Preview of the Cincinnati series on deck. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, now with more than 10 million members to date. For me and my money, just by far the easiest, most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple, too. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more play stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, stolen bases, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. All right, again, as you mentioned, day off tomorrow. Then it's off to Cincinnati Tuesday for 3 in a row. Trying to find some mojo again, man. You got David Festa on the mound for game 1 as of now. Give us the you started to do it, but give us the elevator pitch on the Reds a little bit more and what we need to know. And then, also what's your #1 thing or player, maybe whatever it may be that you're thinking about or looking at to try to get back on track.
#1 player to get back on track. Let's see. We got Festa for the start, and then I think Bailey Ober, obviously after his worst career outing last time, and especially these. And look, we have advertisements for gambling, but when you are wagering money and threatening a player over that sort of stuff on your own decisions, you got to grow up and look yourself in the mirror. So I hope Bailey Ober has a nice outing and has some better treatment from, I know most fans will not do this, but it's an issue that has really gotten out of hand. So I think that's the guy I hope has a really good start, get through 6, just get a quality start out there, get the Twins going in the right direction. That way, that would be huge. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz is still one of the biggest phenoms in this game, and he keeps proving that. So he was deadly against them in the collapse last year in September when the Reds were here in town. So you got to watch for that as well. Their lineup, some of them, they like Christian Encarnacio Strand and Spencer Steer, the guys they sent over to get Tyler Malley, who didn't really work out here, but is having a great season. And of course, ended it up on the injured list after he faced the Twins. But those guys are pretty cold. So, I mean, you got to just find those weaknesses despite the Reds being 7-3 in their last 10 games. So they're picking up water. And I think they could be a really sneaky team if everything clicks right for them as the season winds down. And they could be, that third wild card team that just makes it into the postseason in the National League. They are making a case for that right now, but they still got a lot of flaws, just like this Twins team. They're only 2 games above 500. So, you're kind of evenly matched on paper right now, but you got to come out on top. And I mean, I don't want to say this lightly, but it needs to be a sweep with this one, with just how the last
things are starting to get magnified.
3-4 series. Yeah,
things are starting to get magnified. I don't know if the seat's warming up for Rocco, if it shouldn't, I don't know, but maybe we'll save that. We'll put a pin in that for another day. But the Astros, tell me if I'm just being a prisoner of the moment, but the Astros, is this like the Twins kryptonite? It used to be the Yankees, right? The Houston Astros. Now, granted, they're a good team. They've been a good team the last couple of years. So it's kind of hard to say that, right? It's like when everybody pulled up Kirk Cousins' Monday Night Football numbers. Well, they're going against really good teams, right? But it feels like, you remember, obviously, they finally won a playoff series, and then they get bounced by Houston. Just seems like they've had quite a bit of struggles for Houston the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been ongoing back and forth over this last decade of the Astros really being a dominant force in the AL West. And I think that is definitely the case here. And they will need to find a way to be better, because I know last year they had a winning record against them in the regular season. This year it's been the opposite, and you still got some tough matchups. You still haven't faced the Yankees yet. So, yeah.
Twins blow it in the 9th, and extras, they get swept versus the Astros. 36-35 now, only 1 game above 500 again. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there, all you guys that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game as well. Make sure you like and subscribe, and go check out all Theo's work on X at Theodore Tollefson, plus all the work he's always putting up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. Again, day off tomorrow. 3 games with the Reds in Cincy. 6:10 first pitch on Tuesday, by the way. David Fest on the mound. We'll catch you right here. Same time, same place. Until then, signing out.